Ever wonder how the world's most iconic supermodels got their big break? While a surprising amount of modeling's biggest names can trace their start back to small agencies, for some of the most well-known faces in the industry, it was all thanks to a stroke of luck.
My career has never been a strategic, planned career.
In addition to being one of the most beautiful women in the world, Naomi Campbell is also one of the modelling industry's biggest names, ever. Even from a young age, it seems she was marked for big-time success. Campbell wrote in an article for The Guardian about the beginnings of her career and noted that her first brush with fame came when she was just 7, when she appeared in Bob Marley's Is This Love music video. But despite dipping her toe into the entertainment industry at an early age, this wasn't the moment in which Campbell got her lucky start. In fact, modelling wasn't something that was even on her radar. In her early teens, she was actually a self-proclaimed goth who wore long black dresses and jackets and Dr. Martens to school. But on the day she was discovered, Campbell just so happened to be wearing her school uniform and hanging with friends outside. It was in that magical moment that she was approached by the head of a talent agency.
I was surprised that she came to me because I was with all my girlfriends who were really beautiful, blonde hair and blue eyes and tall.
Naomi was totally down for the opportunity, but her mom, on the other hand, was firmly against it. So, a young Naomi went to meet with the agent by herself, changing the course of her life forever.
I still love what I do, and the minute that I don't feel that way, you'll no longer see me.
Gisele Bundchen has been gracing runways and magazine covers since the late 90s. And though she's now one half of a celebrity power couple, her success is the result of years of hard work that began after she happened upon her big break when she was in her early teens.
I came from a small village in the south of Brazil and I never even saw a fashion magazine.
According to an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Bundchen admitted she thought of herself as awkward and, quote, strange-looking back when she was growing up. The gorgeous supermodel was actually teased for the features she's known for today, her legs for days and towering height. Because of this, Bundchen told the outlet that she hunched over as a kid. To combat this, her mother signed her up for a modelling course and, when it was over, Bundchen and the other girls in the class travelled to Sao Paulo to celebrate. According to Vogue, it was during this particular trip that Bundchen was discovered by an agent while sitting at a McDonald's amidst a sea of 55 other girls in uniforms.
I felt like I was at the right place at the right time with the right attitude, I would say.
Having previously wanted to be a pro volleyball player, Bundchen immediately began travelling the world as she launched her modelling career and rose to become one of the biggest names in the industry. Though you wouldn't guess it based on her photos or signature walk, Claudia Schiffer is intensely shy. In fact, the supermodel told Vanity Fair her friends didn't even think she would make it as a model. She shared, "They laughed and said, 'That's funny, you're never going to survive,' because I was so shy. But I realised when I had makeup on there was a transformation, and I didn't feel like shy Claudia from a small town, and I could do outrageous things."
All I wanted, because I was quite shy, was to just be invisible rather than sticking out.
So how did this shy German girl go on to become one of the biggest names in modelling? According to The Independent, Schiffer met her destiny when she was spotted at a nightclub in Dusseldorf at just 17 years old.
This French agent from Paris came up to me and said, "You should be a model," and I just thought that, yeah, he must be joking, he can't be serious, there's no way I can be a model.
Originally, Schiffer planned on becoming a lawyer like her father, but life clearly took her in a very different direction. Schiffer has famously worked for brands like Guess and Dolce & Gabbana and enjoyed an iconic career. Her shyness, though, has stayed with her throughout the years. She rarely gives interviews, was never often seen partying, and has remained almost entirely scandal-free throughout her decades-long career. But maybe that's the secret to her success. Pamela Anderson was once just a regular girl from Canada who enjoyed watching sports. But while she was discovered much later than most other supermodels, no one can argue that she's not among the biggest names out there. According to ABC News, Anderson was 22 years old when she was featured on the Jumbotron at a football game in Canada. At the time, she was wearing a Labatt beer crop top, and the image became so popular that Labatt ended up hiring her to model for the company. Soon after that, she landed Playboy. It was quite a quick rise to the top for a young woman who was working as a fitness instructor just before she hit it big. Her career as a model, though, was relatively short-lived compared to others who've hustled in the industry for decades. Instead, Anderson transitioned into acting, landing roles in Home Improvement and, of course, as the bombshell lifeguard CJ Parker on Baywatch. Victoria's Secret models have dominated the modern modelling world, with the likes of Alessandra Ambrosio, Miranda Kerr, and Adriana Lima getting their start from the lingerie giant. In 2010, the brand made supermodel Candice Swanepoel a household name when they gave her those iconic angel wings. However, that was far from Swanepoel's big break.
I was very lucky. I started working very quickly.
In an interview with Today, Swanepoel revealed that she was in fact scouted by an agent at a flea market in South Africa, an unlikely spot for the stars to align. Shortly after, she moved to Paris, where she immediately hit the runway. But one thing that's not as well known about her is that she almost gave up modelling just 2 years after moving to France. It goes without saying, though, that she decided to stick it out, and after years of hard work, she's now one of the most recognisable models in the industry, boasting over 14 million followers on Instagram. Stella Maxwell burst onto the modelling scene when she became an official Victoria's Secret angel in 2015. While Victoria's Secret is arguably the job that put her on the map, she's also worked with big brands like Alexander McQueen and Chanel. It was a serendipitous meeting with an agent years before that set her on the path to stardom. While attending school in New Zealand, Maxwell was approached by a stranger on the street while she was shopping. She told Vogue, "This woman came up to me and was like, 'Would you like to come in? I own an agency. We can just talk about things.' That's kind of how it all happened. At my first shoot, I actually just really enjoyed it and I really got into it. I think it kind of spurred me to think about it more as a career."
My parents are angels. They've always been encouraging anything I do. Total support, 100%.
The self-professed tomboy then went on to model some of the world's hottest lingerie. In the 1980s era, supermodels arguably made the industry what it is today. Alongside Naomi Campbell, Claudia Schiffer, and Linda Evangelista, there was Christy Turlington, who, according to The Telegraph, officially retired from the runway in '95 and forged a path to become a published author and entrepreneur.
It's definitely an education.
But her career started back when she was just 14, and a local photographer saw her while she was horseback riding in Florida, according to Harper's Bazaar. What followed was a whirlwind career where she became one of the most instantly recognizable faces in the industry.
I don't know, it's a funny thing too. I mean, fashion is quite a ridiculous thing in the realm of the whole picture.
But she wanted something more and quit modelling to enroll at New York University. Since then, she's turned to family, philanthropy, and business, earning a master's degree from Columbia in 2009, according to Vogue. But in 2019, Turlington wowed fans when she came out of retirement to close out the Marc Jacobs show at New York Fashion Week. It was her first time working with the brand since 1993, and what a stunning comeback.
I never really wanted to be a model. That was never a dream of mine.
Originally, modelling really wasn't even on Christie Brinkley's radar at all. She was actually studying the arts in Paris in the 70s when, by chance, she ran into a photographer at a post office who asked her to be in his shoot. According to Brinkley, she thought at the time, "Let me just see what it's like and do one little thing." It turned out that guy with the camera was famed American photographer Errol Sawyer, who then introduced Brinkley to elite model management agencies John Casablancas. And that one little thing turned into a wildly successful modelling career that included Sports Illustrated, Glamour and Cosmopolitan covers, a contract with CoverGirl, and so much more.
I always think of myself as chubby, and when I'm doing the picture, I manage to pretend.
Today, Brinkley's got her own skincare line and winery, and while she may have her focus on those other endeavours, a quick glance at her Instagram proves the supermodel could still slay a runway any day of the week. Coco Rocha's unique old Hollywood look sets her apart in today's modelling scene. But while she might have the looks, she definitely wasn't aspiring to work in the industry. In a piece for BuzzFeed, Rocha wrote that her life changed when she was first approached by a modelling scout at an Irish dance competition in Canada at age 14. Except she wasn't actually flattered by him asking if she'd ever modelled. She thought it was a joke and told the guy to go talk to her mum, who made her feelings very clear, telling him, "No way are you having my daughter model."
He kept hounding me at different competitions, and then over a while my mom found out that he was legit. That was the biggest thing.
Eventually, Rocha and her mum agreed to give it a try. After taking some photos and attending a modelling convention, Rocha was called back by every single agent in attendance. Since then, the supermodel's career has taken her all over the world. Chrissy Teigen is all over the internet these days, but once upon a time, the supermodel was just a girl in Huntington Beach, California, working at a surf shop, according to the Daily Beast. It was while she was on her shift that Teigen got her first bite.
This guy, he thinks I'm beautiful, he wants to take pictures, and my dad's like, no, that's so creepy.
Her dad eventually came around on the idea. He even ended up holding the light reflector at her photo shoot. But while Chrissy went on to stellar career success, it turns out being a full-time model isn't always a glamorous gig. She once shared a bit of insight into her early career with Net-a-Porter, saying, "I never thought of myself as a real model. I made consistent money working for catalogs and websites where they didn't care if your eyes were open or closed because you didn't even see my face. I was modeling the back of a shirt with words on it. Honestly, it was the least glamorous way to model." Teigen hit her next lucky break when she landed the role of the love interest in her future husband John Legend's music video for Stereo. While she's one of the most well-known voices on social media, these days she's also a devoted mother and wife, cookbook author, and TV host. There is perhaps one supermodel to rule them all, a name so iconic, a look so legendary, a face so recognizable that she is still synonymous with the modeling industry decades after she rose to stardom. Enter Twiggy. Her thin frame, blonde pixie haircut, and big blue eyes essentially redefined beauty standards of the era. Years later, however, she told The Guardian she had never thought of herself as beautiful. Needless to say, others thought differently. It all started in 1966 when Twiggy volunteered to get a pixie cut and model it for a notable hairstylist. A couple of days later, after taking a few photographs and going on her way, a fashion editor at the Daily Express saw her picture in the salon and asked to meet her. Just a few short months later, she was famous.
And the headline was Twiggy, the face of 66.
What started as just a fun favour for a local hairstylist quite literally changed her entire life, as well as the industry. According to industry experts like makeup artist Charlotte Tilbury, Kate Moss is a, quote, modern-day beauty icon. Despite spending several decades in the business, the supermodel has somehow stayed at the forefront of the modelling world. Her ability to change her look to match the trend of the time is nearly unrivaled, and it's the reason she's had such staying power.
When I do editorial, I don't feel small, but when I do runway, I do.
But all that success tracks back to when she was 14 and was discovered by model-turned-music manager-turned-agency head Sarah Dukis, who became known for finding talent with so-called different looks. In 1988, Dukis and her partner were on their way back to England when they spotted Moss and her father at JFK Airport. They all even ended up on the same flight. Dukis shared, "As soon as the seatbelt sign switched off, we rushed over."
She came up and said, "Oh, have you ever thought about modelling?" And I was like, "No." And then went to see her in London and they signed me up.
By that point, Dukis had made a name for herself, so Moss's dad knew this was a legitimate offer. After that serendipitous flight, Moss soon became one of the biggest names in the game. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favourite celebs are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.